Today's episode delivered a powerful combination of emotional confrontations, hidden secrets, and relationship drama that kept the tension high from beginning to end. The story opened with the aftermath of the previous night's chaos, as several characters were still dealing with the consequences of their actions. The morning started with an uncomfortable conversation that immediately revealed how fragile the situation had become. One character appeared much calmer than before and admitted that keeping them isolated the previous night had probably prevented an even bigger disaster. This moment showed how quickly emotions can spiral out of control in this family and how a single impulsive decision could have changed everything. However, the peace didn't last for long. A new argument quickly erupted when plans were made for someone to leave the mansion immediately. While some family members believed this was the safest solution, others refused to accept being pushed around. The exchange became increasingly hostile as accusations and insults were thrown back and forth. What made these scenes particularly effective was the growing power struggle between the characters. Neither side was willing to back down, and both believed they had the right to decide what would happen next. The tension felt genuine because each character was fighting for something important to them. Meanwhile, Marjan found herself at the center of another emotional attack. Certain people continued trying to convince her that her marriage was already over and that Ateş had no real feelings left for her. They repeatedly suggested that divorce was inevitable and that she was simply refusing to face reality. But instead of breaking down, Marjan responded with surprising confidence. This was one of the strongest aspects of the episode. For a long time, viewers have watched Marjan struggle with self-doubt and uncertainty. In this episode, however, she seemed much more determined. Rather than accepting what others were telling her, she began trusting her own understanding of her relationship. When she confidently suggested that things might not end the way everyone expected, it became clear that she was no longer willing to let others define her future. At the same time, another important storyline was developing elsewhere. Ateş shared some of his deepest feelings with Jamal, and these scenes provided valuable insight into his emotional state. For perhaps the first time in a long while, Ateş openly admitted that he did not want to lose Marjan. What made this confession so meaningful was its sincerity. Instead of speaking out of anger, frustration, or pride, Ateş spoke from the heart. He reflected on the previous evening and realized just how important Marjan had become in his life. According to him, the time they spent together reminded him of everything he would lose if the divorce actually happened. The episode did an excellent job showing this emotional transformation. Throughout the series, Ateş has often struggled to express his feelings clearly. Here, however, viewers saw a much more vulnerable side of him. He openly acknowledged that the love he feels for Marjan is something rare and precious. According to Ateş, this is not the kind of connection a person finds multiple times in life. This realization added emotional weight to the story and made viewers even more invested in the future of their relationship. Interestingly, Ateş also seemed convinced that Marjan felt the same way. This detail created a sense of hope that has been missing from their storyline for quite some time. Despite all the misunderstandings and pain between them, there are now clear signs that both characters may still want the same future. But as always in this drama, happiness never comes without obstacles. Soon, attention shifted toward a dangerous secret that threatens to destroy everything. A tense conversation revealed that certain individuals have been hiding shocking information for a long time. As more details emerged, it became clear that someone had placed Marjan in serious danger in the past. This revelation immediately raised several questions. Who was responsible? How much did different family members know? And perhaps most importantly, why was the truth kept hidden for so long? Jamal's reaction was particularly interesting during these scenes. Unlike others who wanted to avoid conflict, he seemed unable to ignore what had happened. His anger suggested that he believed justice had never been served and that someone should finally be held accountable. These moments added another layer of suspense to the episode. While the romance between Ateş and Marjan remained the emotional core of the story, the mystery surrounding past events created a darker atmosphere in the background. The family dynamics also became more complicated. One character attempted to use emotional manipulation to maintain control over the situation. By reminding others of past sacrifices and favors, they tried to convince people to stay silent about dangerous secrets. This strategy created an uncomfortable moral dilemma. Should the truth finally be exposed, Or should old mistakes remain buried to protect the family from further destruction? The episode cleverly avoided providing a clear answer, leaving viewers to decide for themselves. As the story moved toward its final act, the tension became even more intense. A new threat emerged, and once again Marjan found herself being targeted. This time, however, the warning felt far more serious than before. Someone openly suggested that her time in the mansion was coming to an end, and that she would soon face consequences she could not escape. These scenes were filled with hostility and resentment. The person delivering the threat seemed completely convinced that Marjan's downfall was inevitable. Their confidence suggested that they might already have a plan in motion. What made this especially concerning was the fact that Marjan's enemies appear more determined than ever. Instead of accepting defeat, they continue looking for new ways to separate her from Ateş and destroy any chance of happiness she might have. The final moments of the episode delivered one last emotional twist. A confrontation forced someone to acknowledge a truth that had been obvious to viewers for a long time. Hidden feelings could no longer be denied, and love once again became the central issue around which everything else revolved. This ending was particularly effective because it connected all the major storylines together. The romance, the family conflict, the hidden secrets, and the personal rivalries all pointed toward the same question. Can love survive when so many people are determined to destroy it? Overall, this episode successfully balanced emotional storytelling with suspense and character development. Ateş and Marjan's relationship continued to evolve, important secrets moved closer to being exposed, and several new conflicts were introduced that promise even more drama ahead. With enemies plotting in the shadows, family loyalties being tested, and powerful emotions driving every decision, the next episode looks set to deliver even bigger surprises. Will Ateş finally stand up for the woman he loves? Will the truth about past betrayals finally come out? And can Marjan survive the growing storm surrounding her? The answers may change everything in the episodes to come.